Thank you very much.
So the first table is actually very good.
Hello. If Andy's the headmaster, I'd like to lay claim to the part of the eccentric history teacher. Firstly, the facts. EV, who I work for, has the venture fund, 30 million to be invested in early stage businesses. We've been in the region for 28 years. I've been investing in the region, not all for EV, but I've been in the region for 22 of those 28. I nearly wouldn't credit it, thank you. We're looking at investments from 50,000 up to, probably we'd be comfortable up to about $500,000 for a first investment as an initial investment, but with the possibility, as Andy said, to make further investments up to a theoretical maximum of 2 million. I think that would be exceptional in our fund. Andy's mentioned some of the sectors that are excluded. Retail is one, construction is another, gaming, armaments. Some that I don't think we can say. And we are working closely alongside the specialist sector funds. David and I were at a meeting this afternoon where a proposition is somewhere in the kind of grey between one fund manager's remit and another. Then we talk to each other, very polite, very English, we say after you, no, after you. And in this case we're actually going to work together and possibly share the investment. So that's the facts. Now I want to tell you about...
You need to point towards the laptop.
I've done it twice now. Let's go back.
Use the keys if it doesn't work.
Sorry?
Just use the keys, the arrow keys.
Yes, having told you about the facts and the constraints of the fund, what I'd like to do is now tell you about what we want to do, the particular kinds of deals that we're very interested in looking at. And I have 3 examples here. Business managers who'd like to build a business for themselves, what I call the breakout type opportunities. An example of this, we're talking to the moment to someone who is working for a company that's grown very rapidly and has just been sold by its entrepreneurial venture capital backed owners. He runs one division of that company, which accounts for about 7 million turnover and about 2 million EBITDA. He doesn't particularly want to go over to the new owners, which will also involve a relocation, and he's talking to us about coming out of that business and starting up on his own. He has got to be quite careful about ensuring he honours his contract of employment, and so we've arranged for him to have some good legal advice, but he's clearly someone who's got a lot of experience running a business. We also think he's a very talented young individual, and that kind of breakout opportunity, we're very interested in meeting other people like that. The second is, I talked about technology deals, and that's obviously very appropriate, I would hope, to some people here today. So let me give you an example here of a deal I actually did with a previous fund. I think someone who's an old friend of this community, Alistair Rawsthorne, Professor Alistair Rawsthorne of the University of Manchester, and also of Transitive, which was a business that I invested in when I was at the Manchester Technology Fund back in the year 2000. Alistair had some brilliant technology in the area of dynamic binary translation, and the company was successful in applying that technology into every Apple laptop, so it was technically at least a great success. But Alistair and I, when we first looked at that, we didn't invest straight away because it was clear that Alistair and we could not have made that company, or had the opportunity to make that company a success without some of the other pieces of the jigsaw. And in the first instance that meant the collaboration, a very successful collaboration with Richard Irving of Pond Ventures, who's also got a lot of experience in the semiconductor industry himself, and also the recruitment of a CEO, a chap called John Graham. And so there was a need to assemble a wider team before moving forward, and that's very much a theme that I've found working with opportunities that start out being technology or science-led that there's a need to bring in the wider team in order to make sure that the opportunity has a chance of being realised into its potential. So the third area we're looking at is what I call Young Turks. We're quite happy to talk to people who are relatively inexperienced in the world of business, but who have a lot of raw talent, boundless energy, enthusiasm, daring. And here's to give you an example of a young man who we were seeing this afternoon, who's tender age of 28, has left university, worked for just a few years for a company in a particular sector, then went out and started up on his own, has shown a huge amount of flair and initiative in establishing relationships with some commercial partners, really when he had not a lot to sell other than his own vision and his own confidence, really, and assurance to go into some quite big companies and say, you've got to deal with me. And so those are some of the themes and the sort of things, sort of opportunities and the kind of people that we'd like to meet. And there's a theme running through this. Try not to cross it twice. Which is that we're not so much interested in your idea as in you. We're about people, and we're interested particularly in people who have a flair for business. My experience has been that great businesses, particularly in the early stages, are actually built out of the 10 or 20 decisions made each day by the chief executive. And what we're interested in is, do you have that flair for business? Are you someone whose vocation, if you will, is to build a great business? And maybe if you're coming from more of a technology background, if you're not necessarily that person, we can help build around you a team that can deliver a very successful business formula. And our aim is to, the fund is to find and to help to be a part of some of the most successful Northwest companies over the next 10 years. There have been some astonishingly successful startup businesses in the Northwest in the last 20 years. People, one thinks of one chap we know who did a computer science degree at Manchester, walked out, set up a company selling CCTV equipment. His name was Mike Newton. He's now running a 100 million turnover business called, what's the name of it? Andy, help me here. DM, Dedicated Micros. You're around, and we need to find you and help you. And that's my presentation.
Thank you very much.